So, last time I was discussing about how we've been in this COVID-19 lockdown for a little while now, and how it looks like we're probably going to be in it for at least a little while longer. Um, and I was emphasizing the fact that this time can be more than just a time where we wait for this whole thing to be taken care of, or where we just find something to do to get by until we reach the other side of this. This can actually be a time we can use intentionally to improve something about ourselves or improve something about our lives, or to help improve the people around us. And I separated that idea into two main points. The first one is the lessons that we can learn from our transition into this lockdown period, the effect that it is having on our lives and on our daily routines, on our finances. And the second point is the opportunities that present themselves during this time if we take the time to look for them and take advantage of them. So let's talk about those two things right now. Starting with finances. When this all happened, how prepared were you to go 3 months without an income? Did you have some savings as a backup that would help get you by? Did you have lines of credit that you can use in an emergency? Maybe some investment accounts that you could liquidate, if and when you needed them. And I'm asking this whether or not you're working now, whether or not you're still working, or you have unfortunately been laid off due to this lockdown. Because regardless of your situation right now, number one, even though I believe that we're going to get through this, we don't know if it's going to get worse before it gets better. So even though things might be safe for you and myself right now, we don't know if it's going to stay that way before things actually do get back to the way they were. So if you haven't already thought about it, now is definitely the time to think about having money set aside and opening lines of credit and looking into some investments to try to do different things with your money, so there is a backup plan. Because even if this doesn't hit you hard, if the past 15 or 20 years has taught us anything, it's that things can and more than likely will come along and affect us in some kind of way. So if it's not this crisis, it might be the next one. And it might not even be something global that happens. It might just be something that happens to you specifically. So you still want to be ready because we know things can come down on us at any time. Along with savings and credit and different accounts, have you thought about alternative streams of income? Services like Uber that you can just sign up for and then head right out and start earning some extra money. I used to do Uber a couple years ago, and since then I haven't done it because fortunately I haven't had to, but I'm still signed up for it. I still have the app on my phone. I'm still holding an account as a driver, and if something happened and I needed extra money tomorrow, I could go right out there and start driving all over again because I still have that option set up. And so even if you don't need extra money right now, now is a good time to look into different ways that you could make some extra money if you needed it, and to set those things up as far as you can so that when the time comes, if the time comes, you're ready to go and you have less steps to take before you can get out there and start earning money. So Uber is the most obvious one, but there are several other driving services that are easy to sign up for that pretty much anyone can do. And there are many other different services out there if you just do the research and start looking for them, and more than likely you can find one that can even fit your skill set and fit you a lot better based on what you do and what you're good at. But the point being, there are many options there for alternative streams of income, and now is a good time to start thinking. Yesterday was a good time to start thinking about this, but now is definitely a good time to start thinking about this and just see what's out there. Just take a look and start taking steps so you have that stuff just in your back pocket in case you need it. Along with your personal finances, maybe you are not the employee and you're the business owner. Was your business ready for 3 months without a profit, without an income? Were you ready to set your employees up with some kind of severance if you did have to let them go? On the other side of that, were you ready for your business to be adapted online and go virtually? If your business is mainly a physical space or a face-to-face type of service, were you ready, or have you looked into options that would let you do that completely online and completely virtually? Because same as with your personal finances, we never know what's going to come along and hit us. And when these things happen, it's usually too late to start thinking about that. So hopefully this hasn't happened to you and you still have time to start taking those steps. But regardless of what business you're in, there's almost always a way to do what you're doing online. You may have to slow down a bit, you may have to take a hit, but it can help you to keep from having to completely shut everything down. A lot of gyms are doing online classes and online videos. Trainers and coaches are doing things online. So there's definitely a way that you can keep things going to some degree if you look into how to do it online. So please do that now and start thinking about that now, because if it hasn't hit you yet, like I said, we never know. Especially during this situation, we never know what's going to happen from one day to the next. And it only takes one thing, one crisis, to catch us off guard for it to be devastating. So I want us all to be set up and better prepared, so when we get hit, it just doesn't hit us as hard. So let's talk about the second lesson, which is taking things for granted. And the first thing in this category is definitely visiting family. And I'm focusing more on family that can't necessarily get out to visit you, which would be, people in assisted living, someone that's in a nursing home, or someone who's going through something and they just happen to be in a hospital when this all started, and now they're stuck in there and unable to receive visitors. And if you're like me, before this lockdown happened, on any given day or any given weekend when you had thought to go visit them, maybe something else came up, maybe there was something else you felt like you had to do that seemed like it was more important at the time, and you told yourself that you would have another weekend. You just go next weekend and see them, or maybe the weekend after that, or maybe you'll just wait until the next holiday shows up and then you'll all be together then, And now I'm thinking about family that I haven't seen since the holidays or shortly thereafter, and now we've gotten to this point and I can't see them, and I'm not sure how long it's going to be until I can see them. So now I'm thinking about all this time that's passed by since I was able to visit the last time that I did, and when I'll be able to, and the effect that time is going to have on them. And there's nothing I can do but sit here and wait. But in hindsight, I know that I definitely should have put more effort into taking the time to see them when I could, into fitting that into my schedule. And when this is all said and done, that's definitely what I'll be doing. So if there's any situation like that on your end, please take some time to think about that and plan to be better about that when we come to the other side of this. Another thing that I found myself taking for granted are things that I actually want to do for myself, meaningful things, self-development, things that I want to do for myself. This could be joining a club, joining or taking a class, joining some kind of self-development group, specialty group, something where you can socialize and learn something at the same time. I myself had 2 different groups that I wanted to be a part of, but I kept procrastinating and I kept putting it off because it was during the winter months and I just didn't feel like doing anything after work during the week when it's cold outside and it's dark outside. And I told myself I'll just wait until March gets here, or until the end of March, till spring gets here, and I'll go ahead and sign up then and it won't be a big deal. Well, now it's warm outside, the days are longer, and everything's closed. So I can't do either of those things. And while it's true that even if I had started, I still would have had to stop now, I would have been able to jump in there early and possibly get some information, get some habits, get some kind of good nuggets that I could take home and be practicing or thinking about now during this downtime. And I also could have made some connections with some people that I could be keeping in contact with right now while we're on lockdown. But since I didn't start, since I didn't make myself go start when I didn't feel like it, even though I still wanted to, but I didn't feel like it. And since I didn't do that, now I just have to wait until who knows. You know, I believe it won't be long, but who really knows how long it'll be until everything starts to open back up. You know, so now this is just time that I've lost, where I could have had a head start in those 2 things that I wanted to join. So bottom line, when you have the opportunity, when we all have the opportunity again, if there's something that you want to do that will better yourself, something that's meaningful, don't give yourself an excuse. Don't give yourself a way out the same way that I did. Please just go out there and do it while the opportunity is there. And lastly, what I'm going to talk about in this section is a lesson that's pretty big for me. Might not be big for you, but it's big for me. And this is talking on the phone versus texting or using social media. Before this lockdown happened, I would spend as little time talking on the phone as possible. If it was someone that, you know, lived far away that I never saw, then sure, I would take the time to talk to them. But for most people who are around that I would get to see eventually, I would more than likely choose to text them or send them a message instead of getting on the phone with them. Now, since this has happened, I've probably had more phone conversations in the past 3 weeks than in the past 3, 4, or even 5 months. And of course, most of that is due to the fact that we're seeing a lot less people face to face, you know, so I'm subconsciously looking for more connection. And since there are more people that I can't see, that's more people that I feel the need to talk to. But I've definitely learned that even outside of the situation we're in right now, there's definitely more value in talking on the phone versus messaging somebody. At the time, it feels like it's the same, but looking at it now, I've learned that it's not. There's definitely a sincerity and a warmth in hearing someone's voice that you're missing when you're just sending a message. And that goes both ways. You know, you're getting something from them, and they're also getting something from you. That person is getting something from hearing your voice as well. So it's something that you can gain and you can also do for the other person. And I've definitely learned that during this time. So when we get to the other side of this, I'm going to strive to take more time to have actual voice conversations, regardless of how often I get to see the person in person, because there's a lot that texting misses out on, and that social media misses out on, even though it doesn't feel that way at the time. But I've learned that nothing can, or the messages really just cannot replace someone hearing your voice and then you hearing theirs in return. So that's definitely something I'm going to change. And if you're anything like me, you're understanding what I'm saying right now, and hopefully that's something that you'll change as well. So now I'm going to get into opportunities. And this is a topic that I was really excited about because it's really all based around this one idea, and this idea makes all the difference. We are in a rare situation right now where we currently live in a world without FOMO. There is no fear of missing out because nothing is happening that you could be missing out on. There are no Friday night happy hours. There are no Saturday nights out at the club, at the lounge, Saturday night dinner parties. There are no Sunday brunches. There are no concerts. There are no events going on that would keep you from focusing on things that are meaningful and productive. And this is a prime opportunity for us to take advantage of this lack of distraction. And you can focus on something new that you want to try, something to learn, something that'll better yourself or maybe better your business. And you can focus on that without feeling like you're missing out on life. Because usually we're trying to balance building a life with having a life. And right now there's just not really a lot of life to have. So it gives us the chance to really focus on the building. So I want to encourage everyone to please just take advantage of that and just stick with that idea and sit with that for a second. There is nothing to miss out on. There's nothing to distract you. And you can be at home and focus on whatever you want to focus on without that voice in the back of your head reminding you what you could be doing instead. And the truth is, we're going to spend these months one way or the other. We're not going to get this time back at the end of our lives. So we can either just get by and do something that'll entertain us until this is all done, or we can make the most of it. So what we don't want to do is just sit and watch TV and watch movies, play video games, and not that there's anything wrong with any of those things, because I love to do all three, but we don't want that to be what's taking up most of our time. Another thing we don't want to do is have extended virtual happy hours and group video chats. Obviously that's real popular right now, and it's a great way to stay in touch with people. And I've done a few myself since this all started, and I know how much fun they can be. But we still want to practice good time management even when we're doing those things. I had a friend of mine who told me that she got on a group chat with her friends and it turned into an 8-hour conversation, and nothing else productive was going on during those 8 hours. And I told her that it probably seemed like a good idea at the time, but I'm sure towards somewhere in the second half of that 8 hours, even the conversation wasn't productive anymore. So you gotta still, even when you're doing what you can to make up for the fact that you can't see other people, we still gotta practice, good time management with that, and make better decisions with what we're doing and how long we're doing it. And it's real easy to fall into that kind of trap because we feel bored. But the truth is, we're only bored in contrast to our normal routine. We could go to another place in the world and their life is like this all the time, or even worse. So however we feel right now is all relative, because there are definitely people who still have it a lot worse than we do, regardless of how bad your situation is. And I understand a lot of people are suffering far more than I am right now, but just try to remember that even in the midst of that, we're still very blessed. Still very blessed. And when we come out on the other side of this, we want to be blessed even further. So we want to take advantage of the opportunities we have right now. So let's get into those. The first one is developing some good habits. Reading. If you're not already reading, now would be a great time to start, regardless of what it is you want to read. Don't even worry about, how mature it is, how productive it is. Just pick up a book. If it's some fiction, if it's fantasy fiction, something that sounds like Lord of the Rings, go ahead and pick it up. If it's self-development, pick that up. Something about finances, which I talked about earlier, go ahead and pick that up. Like, now is just a good time to start a reading habit. Take that book outside to the park, sit down and read for a little bit. Now you're outside and you're reading. That's two good habits at once. So, and if you're already reading something, then take some time and read a different genre that you normally don't check out. If you're already reading finances, then maybe go into something more theoretical, philosophical. If you're already there, maybe go into something spiritual. If you're already there, maybe go into something a little more fun, like some fiction, pick up a novel. But just take this time to try, either develop that reading habit or to try a new reading habit, and just see if you discover something else that you like. Another one on this list is exercise, which is really big, especially with us not moving around and getting outside the house as much as we normally would. This is one where we kind of have to put in the effort. If you're not already in this habit, this can be a good time to try and start, because you don't have to worry about going to the gym. You can just find some time at home and it doesn't have to be even a full workout. It doesn't have to be a full program. It doesn't have to be something that looks really overwhelming. Just drop down and do a few push-ups, do a few sit-ups, do a few squats when you wake up in the morning. And I really mean a few. Just do 3. Just get in the habit of doing that every day and see if you can just build that up. Since we're spending so much time at home, we have more opportunities to do these things in between other things that we're doing. So just do it every time you're watching Netflix and you go in between episodes, do 10 squats right there. And then when Netflix asks you if you're still watching, do like 10 push-ups. Just get in the habit of doing these things, and you will start to notice that you'll want to do them more often. Your body will start wanting to do it, and then you'll do more, and then you'll do more. Then eventually you'll work your way up to, a 30-minute workout, maybe even an hour workout, and along with exercising inside, now is a great time to start exercising outside. Go on those long walks that a lot of people are doing right now. Try jogging, even running, and don't even do it for a long distance. Just do it around the block and come back in the house. Just try to start any kind of habit. Start it small, but be consistent with it. If you're gonna drive down to the end of the block or run down to the end of the block and run back, then just do that 3 times a week. Do it every other day, and then get a little bit longer and a little bit longer. But just try to develop a habit, a consistent habit, regardless of how big or small it seems to be. And I guarantee that that'll be beneficial and that you'll gain something from that. Another habit, cooking at home. I know it's real easy to order takeout right now because everyone's advertising for it, and that's really the only way to get some of the food that you're used to going out and getting. And now they're reminding you that they can just bring it directly to your house, even places that might not have done it before. They're doing it now, but please don't get sucked into ordering takeout every night, and try to take some time to develop a habit of cooking for yourself, and even doing meal prep, so you have more to eat while you're at home all day. Something you can cook the night before and then warm it up the next day, and then maybe you won't have to cook until the day after that. But try to get into that habit, because right now it's real easy to just live off of takeout and whatever might be left at the grocery store by the time you get there. So when you go shopping, try to pick up something healthy and something that you can cook for yourself, and that you can cook for 2 or 3 meals ahead. And try to develop that habit, because that's definitely one that you can that'll help you out even once we get to the other side of this lockdown. And lastly, talking versus texting. Just to reiterate from what I mentioned earlier, I've learned that lesson, and now I'm working on developing that habit, so when this is all over with, I can keep that going, because I definitely see the value. So lastly, with opportunities, I want to talk about new projects and ideas, and how right now is the perfect time to either start a new project, start in on a new idea, maybe something you had for yourself personally, something you've been meaning to do around the house, something that you want to do with your family. There's an endless list of possibilities, but now we have the time to actually think on those things. Or if you don't have one off the top of your head, maybe now's the new time to try to find one. Come up with something new just for the sake of learning and doing something new. First on my list is this video that I'm making right now. This was a new project for me. This is not something that I had done before this lockdown. I had thought about it, but I hadn't actually taken the time and made the decision to make it happen. But now that I have all this downtime, it's afforded me the chance to really look into this and learn the things I needed to learn to put this together. Making this video involved writing, which is something that I don't really do, and video editing, which is something that I hadn't really done before either. So I had to build my skills in both of those areas, which now I can start to add to my skill set. And now I have a product, or not even a product, but now I just have an idea in a new form that I can share with the world. And this leads into my next part of this category, which is just connecting with people in new ways. This video is one of my new ways. Video chatting and group chatting is another way that was new for me. I really didn't jump on many video chats before this lockdown started, but now I've done them with my friends, I've done them with family, and even after this lockdown is lifted, me and my family were discussing replacing our regular phone group conversations with video chats, just because we've realized how easy it is, and how much fun it can be, and there's really no reason not to, so this time has given us the opportunity to find new ways to connect, and given me personally the chance to find new ways to connect. So that's something I'd like you guys to think about. Just, whether it's calling someone with a video, FaceTiming someone, maybe you record something on your phone and you just send it to your family. Tell them happy Monday, tell them I love you, tell them whatever you want to tell them, just something, just a new way to connect with them and to communicate with them that you might not have thought about before. This downtime will also give us the chance to think about new things we want to learn. The amount of information available online is tremendous. And whether you want to do something like learn a new dance step, learn a new skill in any category. There are classes that you can sign up for, things like Skillshare, which has a tremendous amount of tutorials and videos and professionals who are trying to teach people things that they know, who are trying to build up your skills. And you can also just go to YouTube and find tutorials on pretty much anything. I've myself found some exercise tutorials on YouTube. There are some dancing tutorials on YouTube. I wouldn't mind being, better at the salsa when this lockdown is lifted. Maybe I can go out and do something when this is all said and done. But regardless of what you're into, this is a prime time to find a way to learn more about it from home, because there are definitely ways to do that. Whatever it is you're thinking of right now, there are definitely ways to do that. And if nothing is coming to mind, then this is a time to think of what you might want to learn. That's, maybe it's involved with what you do, or maybe it's far removed and it's something brand new entirely. But either way, that can help spark something, and that might, put you on a different path you haven't thought of, or at the very least, it'll cure the boredom that you might be feeling, because learning something new is always exciting. So please take some time to think about that, because I guarantee there's a way for you to either learn more about something you already know, or just have fun learning something entirely new. So to conclude this series, I just want to reiterate that we can pretty much assume that this situation is going to go on for a little while longer, probably another month or two. And while we're going through that, I just want to encourage us to think about what we can work on, new things we can try, meaningful things that we can focus on, and ways that we can take advantage of this time to better ourselves and to improve ourselves when we come out on the other side of it. And if you're living with family or living with other people, think about the things that you can do with them to help them, or things that you can do together to help each other, because there are definitely opportunities here if we just take the time to look for them. So don't let yourselves go through this situation without gaining something from it, because even though we may have lost a lot of things, even though we may have suffered a lot of loss going through this, we are still able to gain something meaningful on the other side of this. And I just want to make sure that we all have the opportunity to do that. So thanks for watching, and thanks for listening, and take care.